at a time of great uncertainty, a time when wars continue to break out, a time when trust between nations, between institutions, between peoples is fragile. History teaches us peace and stability are our most valuable assets. Peace and stability are the ultimate prerequisites for growth and prosperity. There will be no prosperity without peace. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the IMF recently described Indonesia as, I quote, a global bright spot with strong economic growth amid a challenging external environment. While the world had faced tightening financial conditions, trade tensions, and political uncertainty, Indonesia continues to grow. Indonesia's economy grew by more than 5% every year over the last decade. And I'm confident that this year our growth will be higher. Our inflation remains at around 2%. Our government deficit is now kept below 3% of our GDP. International institutions did not praise us because of unfounded optimism. They did so because of evidence. They recognize that Indonesia's economy is resilient. Our policies have been and will always be well calibrated. Peace and stability in Indonesia over the years did not happen by chance. Peace and stability in my country did not happen by luck. It happened because we, Indonesia, have and will always continue to choose unity over fragmentation, friendship and collaboration over confrontation, and always friendship over enmity. Our credibility, hard-earned over many years, has been protected. Credibility once lost is very expensive to regain. Indonesia, in our history, has never once defaulted on our payments of our debt. Not once. Succeeding regimes always pay the debts of the preceding regime. Successive presidents will always honor the debts of the previous administration. Excellencies, distinguished friends, in addition to requiring peace and stability, growth requires statecraft and capital, in particular the efficient allocation and reallocation of capital. That is why last February we established our sovereign wealth fund, Danantara Indonesia. Danantara means the energy to power the future of Indonesia. Danantara is a sovereign wealth fund with $1 trillion in assets under management. With Danantara, I can stand here in front of you as an equal partner. Indonesia is now not only a land of peace and stability. Indonesia now is more and more the land of opportunity. Once again, I mentioned that I am convinced that our growth, the growth of our economy will be significantly surprising to many in the world. With the Nantara, Indonesia is now able to be your partners. We will co-invest and grow with you. The Nantara is established to finance and co-finance the industries of the future. We are determined to industrialize our country in a significant way. The industries of the future must be executed well and wisely. That is why we built the Nantara with strong oversight and institutional responsibility. And we try to find the best executives to direct the leadership of the Nantara. The Nantara now manages 1,044 state-owned enterprises. We are going to bring this down to around at most 300. We will rationalize, we will get rid of inefficiency. We want the best governance and the best management under international standards. I have allowed the Nantara to recruit expatriates, foreign citizens, to be able to lead these companies. We want the best brains and the best minds in the world. This is, in fact, how we run Indonesia now. From our social programs to our efforts to downstream our natural resources, to our efforts to reach self-sufficiency in food and energy. All are now accompanied by strong oversight and capable leaders. In the first 2 months of my administration, we carried out a vigorous efficiency program. We saved $18 billion by stopping inefficient and dubious programs from our budget, and redirected these funds to projects that directly improve livelihoods and impact all of society. As a result, on January 6, 2025, we started our free nutritious meals program for pregnant and lactating mothers, infants, and all Indonesian children. On our first day, we started with 190 kitchens, serving 570,000 people per day. 570,000 meals per day. Today, in 1 year, we have achieved 21,102 kitchens serving nationwide. As of last night, we are producing 59.8 million meals for 59.8 million children, mothers, and elderly living alone. They receive these meals every day. To put this into context, in about a month's time, we will surpass McDonald's, 68 million meals a day. We started in January of last year. This year, we aim to serve 82.9 million meals a day. All children of Indonesia, from the womb of their mother up until they reach 18 years of age, benefit from this program. For pregnant and lactating mothers, we deliver the meal daily to their home. This is also delivered to their homes for the elderly living alone. To put this in the context I mentioned, I think McDonald's started their first kitchen in 1940. To reach 68 million, it took them, 55 decades more. We will reach 82.9, I hope, by the end of December 2026. But my people say, no, sir, we will reach 82.9 before December. So hopefully we will achieve this. In addition to strengthening our children, our free meals strengthens our economy. More than 61,000 micro, small and medium enterprises and cooperatives are now a part of this supply chain. We are creating more than 600,000 jobs just at the kitchens. At its peak, we are optimistic it will reach 1.5 million direct jobs with vendors, with suppliers. There will be another more than 1 million livelihoods embraced and improved. This is why I'm convinced that our growth will reach impressive numbers. Our social policies must expand productivity and produce growth. Today, 70 million Indonesians receive free medical checkup, and they will receive free medical checkup once a year for the rest of their lives. And this will increase to all the children and the adults of Indonesia. We are providing free medical checkup to all citizens of Indonesia. This is not a populist program. This is a rational program to save money. By detecting illness, disease at an early stage, we will save much more in the long term in treatment. This actually is a productivity improvement program. My experts say that in the long run, we will save many, many billions of US dollars. Last year, for instance, we renovated 16,140 schools. We equipped 288,000 schools, each with one 75-inch interactive flat panels as part of our digitalization of our education program. Next year, in this coming year, 2026, we will add another 1 million of these interactive smart panels so that every school will have at least 3 to 4 classrooms with these panels. And we hope within 3 years, all the schools of Indonesia will have at least 6 classrooms with digital interactive panels. That means that I, for instance, in Jakarta, I can drop in on any school of Indonesia and I can see the quality of teaching of the teachers. I can see the reaction of the children. And in the first weeks, we see the enthusiasm of the children, the enthusiasm of the teachers, of the villagers. Many of them cry when they see the panels coming in. We get messages, Mr. President, in the entire history of this village, we have never felt that the central government knows about us. This is the first time we feel that the central government cares about us and is now in our village, is now helping to teach our children. This is, for me, heartwarming, because what we are doing is we are empowering the future generation of Indonesians. Why does this matter to global investors gathering here at the World Economic Forum? Because I am of the conviction that human capital determines long-term growth, long-term returns. Human development, human resources is the key to a thriving and successful nation. Lack of education is the path towards failed states. No country can hope to be stable and prosper if its people are illiterate, if its people are not able to keep up with modern science and technology. In addition, this year we will increase the renovation. I'm determined to modernize and renovate 60,000 schools. I'm also building 1,000 schools, what I call integrated, comprehensive schools with modern facilities, with modern laboratories, 1,000. I have already, 500, but I've already built 160 schools, boarding schools for the very poor. So this is maybe unique, because usually the children of the upper class, the children of the wealthy, go to boarding school. But I now make boarding schools for the very poor. Their only condition for entering the school is they must come from the bottom deciles of our society. Those who are very poor, I'm taking their children. I want to cut the chain of poverty. Usually in countries like my countries of the global south, countries of the third world, countries coming out of hundreds of years of colonialism, usually the son of a poor peasant will be a poor peasant. The son of a garbage collector will be a garbage collector. The son of a street hawker will be a street hawker. The son of a day laborer in the harbor will also be a day laborer in the harbor. This is what we call in the global south the circle of poverty. I'm determined to break the circle. I'm determined that the son of the poorest should not be poor. They must be given equal opportunity. And that's why I've already built 166, and I will build total 500 of these boarding schools. And another 500 not boarding schools, but centers of excellence to boost the other children who are brighter. Also, I've started 20 new boarding schools for the academically gifted. I'm also building 10 new universities, and I'm discussing and negotiating with the best universities of Europe, United Kingdom, and North America to twin them and to produce universities and campus of international standard. In addition, we are now in the process of building 83,000 cooperatives with 83,000 warehouses, 83,000 cold storage, 83,000 mini markets, 83,000 village drugstores selling generic medicine, and all subsidized goods direct to the villagers without intervention from too many middlemen. We are also going to modernize what we call the new fishing villages. We will build at least 1,000 this year, but we actually want to allocate funds for 5,000 villages. Each village will have 2,000 fishermen. We hope to impact 10 million fishermen. With their wives and their children, this will impact at least 40 million Indonesians. We have started a pilot project in Biak, in Papua, and the result is very heartening. The average increase in their livelihood is 60% increase in their annual livelihood. Why? Because before, to get ice was impossible for them. There was no ice-making factory near their villages. To get diesel very far, we will build diesel stations, in every village. They will have access very easy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this clearly. There is no investment climate without the certainty of equitable rule of law. Nobody will come in to invest in a country that is lawless or of dubious legal tradition. I am determined, under my administration, to ensure the rule of law. The rule of law must prevail over any vested interests. In 2025, Indonesia, as I promised, we will confront, and we have confronted, corruption directly, firmly, and openly. As any person dealing with an illness, with a disease, we must have the courage to acknowledge the illness and disease that we suffer. We are determined directly to fight against this corruption. It's challenging. Not many people believe we can do it, but we have no choice. I have no choice. I have been inaugurated, I've been sworn in to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law. In my first weeks in government, we uncovered massive abuse in fuel and crude oil governance. In all sectors of the economy, we found illegality, illegal practices. In my first year of administration, we have already confiscated 4 million hectares of illegal plantations and illegal mines. It is amazing. I call this not free enterprise. I call this not the free market. I called it openly greedonomics, the economics of greed, the economics of rapacious practices. Maybe in many of your countries, there was a period like this, a period of the robber barons. I have confiscated 4 million hectares. But 2 days ago, I led a cabinet meeting by Zoom from London, and we decided to confiscate or to revoke the licenses of 28 corporations which had licenses over 1.01 million hectares. I revoked because we found them violating laws. They were building plantations on protected forests. This is a flagrant undermining of the rule of law. Perhaps these rapacious so-called entrepreneurs feel that they need not recognize the sovereignty of the Indonesian government. Or perhaps they feel they can buy all Indonesian government officials. I have reports that some of these people in their meetings say, oh, it's okay, there is no government official that cannot be bought. Well, I challenge them to try to buy officials from my administration. They will come to find themselves a big surprise. Combined with the 4 million hectares of illegal plantations already confiscated, we have, in fact, enacted the boldest, the most daring forest law enforcement effort in the history of Indonesia. We have closed, up to now, 1,000 illegal mines. But my staff, my people report to me, sir, there is at least another 1,000 or more. There could be as many as 666 corporations that violate the law. So I say, what can we do? We can only have the courage to enforce the law. There can be no compromise. There can be no turning back. My people demand this, and we are determined to serve our people in honesty. We are determined, I am determined to uphold my oath, defend the Constitution of my country, enforce the law of the land. You might not have heard our story because we are people who do not like to be flamboyant. We are low-key. We tend to be below the radar. But we are very determined in our effort to keep up with the rest of the world. You might not have heard this story, but extreme poverty in Indonesia fell to its lowest level in history. I'm determined in the next 4 years we will eradicate extreme poverty and we will bring down poverty as a whole. That is my mission in my life. That is my mission in the remaining years of my life. There is nothing more honorable. There is nothing more satisfying than bringing down poverty and bringing down, eradicating hunger. There is a saying I learned from my elders. One of my elders, very wise man, very honest political leader, he told me, Prabowo, the duty of a leader is very simple. The leader of this country, If you want to be leader of the country, you must work so that the poor and the weak can smile and can laugh. Very simple. What does that mean? If the poor, the weak, can smile and can laugh, that means they have hope. That means they see a future. That means their livelihood is being improved. So that is my mission now, to make the poorest of Indonesians, the weakest of Indonesians, smile. I think part of this is we must combat corruption, manipulation, malfeasance. Ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago, I was surprised myself. Gallup poll and Harvard University found that a research survey of hundreds of countries found that Indonesia, the Indonesian people, is the most happiest people, the most flourishing country in the world, with the people the most optimistic. This is a bit heartening, but for me also a bit sad. I know my people. Many of them live in shacks. Many of them do not have clean water. Many of them do not have bathrooms. Many of them eat rice with salt. And yet they smile. And yet they have hope. We also achieved self-sufficiency in rice. The first time in many, many years, our rice production is the highest in the history of Indonesia. I gave a target to be self-sufficient in 4 years. I gave a target to my team. They did it within 1 year. I am convinced in the next 4 years, we will be self-sufficient in the other food products. Corn, sugar, protein. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Indonesia does not fear economic integration. We are a trading nation for hundreds of years. We conclude now trade agreements not because it is fashionable, but we consider it necessary. We believe in the concept of win-win. Last year we signed free trade agreements and comprehensive economic partnership agreements with Europe, with the EU, Canada, Peru, Eurasia. I have just visited the United Kingdom to sign our new strategic partnership. Also an economic growth agreement. And we hope next year we can conclude a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the United Kingdom. This is part of our strategy to deepen productivity, reduce barriers, unlock private sector growth for Indonesia, ASEAN, and the Global South. Excuse me. We believe that trade integration, when done fairly, is not a threat to sovereignty. We believe trade is a tool for prosperity. Indonesia has a clear vision. We are determined to become a modern country, integrated with the global economy, providing good quality of life for its citizens, living free of poverty and hunger. But we understand very well this cannot be achieved by slogans alone. It requires determination, good governance, clean government, free of corruption and malfeasance. And in the end, we must have efficient public administration. We must also enact a new culture in our bureaucracy. Our government must serve the general good and must not entrench itself in collusion with greedy and rapacious economic players. Achieving our mission also requires smart investment in infrastructure, simplifying rules and regulations, getting rid of too much red tape, and, of course, significant investment in health and education. Distinguished delegates, friends, economic growth requires a dynamic private sector. Indonesia is and will always be open for foreign and domestic investment. And we realize the prerequisite for investment is political and economic stability. Also, the certainty of equitable rule of law, guaranteed by a strong, clean and democratic government. Indonesia today offers sustainable growth with stability. We may be very low-key, we may be below the radar, we don't like to be flamboyant, to be bragging. We believe in evidence, evidence-based action. In fact, I was invited to speak last year here, and I declined. Why? Because had I come last year, I would have only been leading my administration only for 2 months. So what will I be able to say? I will only be able to talk, to give platitudes. Today, I stand before you with confidence, with pride in our achievement. We have in 1 year achieved tremendous gains, tremendous reforms. We have wiped away hundreds and hundreds of regulations that do not make sense, regulations that hinder fairness, that create the culture of corruption. Hundreds of regulations we have wiped out in 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, peace and stability is a long and arduous program. But if you want to take something from my talk today, maybe it should be this. Indonesia chooses peace over chaos. We want to be a friend to all, an enemy to none. 1,000 friends too few for us, one enemy too many. We want to be a good neighbor, a good, responsible citizen of the world, protecting the environment, protecting nature. We must not destroy nature. We must live with nature. We must maintain and be a part of a future full of hope. Hope grounded in credibility, execution of sound public policy, and continuous record of growth with equity. Let us build the world we want to live in together. Let us continue the journey to improve the quality of life for all, to live in peace, freedom, friendship, tolerance, coexistence, and cooperation for all races, all ethnicity, all religions. Let us continue our pursuit of justice for all, security and freedom for all. I look forward to seeing many of you here in this room, in Indonesia, because in Bali this June, we will host the first Ocean Impact Summit, together with the World Economic Forum, which Indonesia is sponsoring, together with the important participation of Mr. Ray Dalio and his research vessel, Ocean X. There is a SpaceX, I think, from Mr. Elon Musk, but I think Mr. Ray Dalio is one of the pioneers in ocean research. And Indonesia, being three-quarters sea, we are very concerned about the future of our ocean. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention. May you go in peace with the blessing of the Almighty God. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Salve, Om Shanti, Shanti Om. May peace be upon us all. Thank you.
Welcome to Davos again, dear President Zelensky. Mr. President, it is really my great honor to welcome you back to Davos. This week, Ukraine and its people once again endured deadly attacks by Russia. We are approaching 4 years since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the largest European conflict since World War II. Mr. President, you have led your country through one of the most consequential periods in modern European history. Under extraordinary circumstances, Ukraine continues to defend its sovereignty, its democracy, and its people, while engaging the international community on questions that extend far beyond its borders. The future of security in Europe, the resilience of democratic societies, the state of the rules-based international order, and the cost of inaction in the face of aggression. In recent months, the United States has taken a central role in advancing diplomatic efforts aimed at ending the war, working closely with Kiev and European partners. These efforts have resulted in a comprehensive 20-point peace plan aimed at laying the foundation for a just and lasting peace. And I know that President Zelensky just met with President Trump, and I hope that was a very, very good meeting. These efforts, as I mentioned, reflect the sustained push grounded in shared values and strategic cooperation to reach and negotiate a resolution that respects Ukraine's territorial integrity and long-term security. It's in this spirit of cooperation and with the urgency for peace that we welcome today a leader whose courage and commitment continue to shape the world, continues to shape the path forward. I think you see, Mr. President, that we're all ready for your speech and that you also chose to come here in Davos during a very difficult time for you and your people. Welcome, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Dear friends, everyone remembers the great American film Groundhog Day with Bill Murray and Andy McDowell. Yes, but no one would want to live like that, repeating the same thing for weeks, months, and of course for years. And yet, that's exactly how we live now. And it's our life. And every forum like this one proves it. Just last year, here in Davos, I ended my speech with the words, Europe needs to know how to defend itself. A year has passed, and nothing has changed. We are still in a situation where I must say the same words, but why? The answer is not just about the threats that exist or may appear. Each year brings something new for Europe and for the world. Everyone turned attention to Greenland. And it's clear most leaders simply are not sure what to do about it. And it seems like everyone is just waiting for America to cool down on this topic, hoping it will pass away. But what if it will not? What then? There was so much talk about the protests in Iran, but they drowned in blood. The world has not helped enough the Iranian people, and it's true. It has stood aside. In Europe, there was Christmas and New Year celebrations, the seasonal holidays. By the time politicians came back to work and started forming a position, the Ayatollah has already killed thousands. And what will Iran become after this bloodshed? If the regime survives, it sends a clear signal to every bully: kill enough people and you stay in power. Who in Europe needs that message to become a reality? And yet Europe hasn't even tried to build its own response. Let's look at the Western Hemisphere. President Trump led an operation in Venezuela and Maduro was arrested, and there were different opinions about it, but the fact remains: Maduro is on trial in New York. Sorry, but Putin is not on trial. And this is the fourth year of the biggest war in Europe since World War II. And the man who started it is not only free, he is still fighting for his frozen money in Europe. And you know what? He is having some success, it's true. It's Putin who is trying to decide how the frozen Russian assets should be used, not those who have the power to punish him for this war. Thankfully, the EU decided to freeze Russian assets indefinitely, and I'm grateful for that. Thanks Ursula, thanks Antonio, and all the leaders who helped. But when the time came to use those assets to defend against Russian aggression, the decision was blocked. Putin managed to stop Europe, unfortunately. Next point. Because of America's position, people are now avoiding the topic of the International Criminal Court. And that's understandable. It's American historical position. But at the same time, there is still no real progress on establishing a special tribunal for Russian aggression against Ukraine, against the Ukrainian people. And we have an agreement, it's true. Many meetings have taken place, but still Europe hasn't reached even the point of having a home for the tribunal with staff and actual work happening inside. What's missing? Time or political will. Too often in Europe, something else is always more urgent than justice. Right now, we are working actively with partners on security guarantees, and I'm grateful for that, but those are for after the war ends. Once the ceasefire begins, there will be contingents and joint patrols and partner flags on Ukrainian soil. And that is a very good step and the right signal that UK and France are ready to actually commit their forces on the ground, and there is already a first agreement on that. Thank you, Keir, thanks Emmanuel, and all the leaders in our coalition. And we are doing everything to make sure that our coalition of the willing truly becomes a coalition of action. And again, everyone is very positive, but, always but the backstop of President Trump is needed. And again, no security guarantees work without the US. But what about the ceasefire itself? Who can help make it happen? Europe loves to discuss the future, but avoids taking action today, action that defines what kind of future we will have. That is the problem. Why can President Trump stop tankers from the Shadow Fleet and seize oil, but Europe doesn't? Russian oil is being transported right along European shores. That oil funds the war against Ukraine. That oil helps destabilize Europe. So Russian oil must be stopped and confiscated and sold for Europe's benefit. Why not? If Putin has no money, there is no war for Europe. If Europe has money, then it can protect its people. Right now, those tankers are making money for Putin, and that means Russia continues to push its sick agenda. Next point. I've said it before and I'll repeat it again. Europe needs united armed forces, forces that can truly defend Europe. Today, Europe relies only on the belief that if danger comes, NATO will act. But no one has really seen the alliance in action. If Putin decides to take Lithuania or strike Poland, who will respond? Who will respond? Right now, NATO exists thanks to belief that the United States will act, that it will not stand aside and will help. But what if it doesn't? Believe me, this question is everywhere in the minds of every European leader, and some try to get closer to President Trump, it's true. Some wait, hoping the problem will disappear. Some have started acting, investing in weapons production and etc., building partnerships, getting public support for higher defense spending. But let's remember, until America pressured Europe to spend more on defense, most countries were not even trying to reach 5% of GDP, the minimum needed to ensure security. Europe needs to know how to defend itself. And if you send 30 or 40 soldiers to Greenland, what is that for? What message does it send? What's the message to Putin, to China? And even more importantly, what message does it send to Denmark? The most important, your close ally. You either declare that European bases will protect the region from Russia and China and establish those bases, or you risk not being taken seriously because 30 or 40 soldiers will not protect anything. And we know what to do. If Russian warships are sailing freely around Greenland, Ukraine can help. We have the expertise and weapons to ensure not one of those ships remains. They can sink near Greenland, just as they do near Crimea. No problem, we have the tools and we have people. For us, the sea is not the first line of defense, so we can take actions, and we know how to fight there if we were asked and if Ukraine were in NATO. But we are not. We would solve this problem with the Russian ships. As for Iran, everyone is waiting to see what America will do. And the world offers nothing, Europe offers nothing, and does not want to enter this issue as the supporter of the Iranian people and the democracy they need. But when you refuse to help the people fighting for freedom, the consequences return, and they are always negative. Belarus in 2020 is the example. No one helped their people, and now Russian Oreshnik missiles are deployed in Belarus within range of most European capitals. That would not have happened if the Belarusian people had won in 2020. And we have told our European partners multiple times, act now. Act now against those missiles in Belarus. Missiles are never just decoration. But Europe still remains in Greenland mode. Maybe someday someone will do something. The issue of Russian oil is the same. It's good that many sanctions exist. Russian oil is getting cheaper, but the flow has not stopped. And Russian companies that fund Putin's war machine are still working. And that will not change without more sanctions. And we are grateful for all the pressure put on the aggressor. But let's be honest, Europe must do more so its sanctions block enemies as effectively as American sanctions. Why is that important? Because if Europe is not seen as a global force, if its actions don't scare bad actors, then Europe will always be reacting, catching up with new dangers and attacks. We all see that the forces trying to destroy Europe do not face a single day. They operate freely, even operate inside Europe. Every victor who lives off European money while trying to sell out European interests deserves a smack upside the head. And if he feels comfortable in Moscow, it doesn't mean we should let European capitals become little Moscows. We must remember what separates Russia from all of us. The most fundamental line of conflict between Russia and Ukraine and all of Europe is this: Russia fights to devalue people, to make sure that when dictators want to destroy someone, they can. But they must lose power, not gain it. For example, Russia's missiles are produced only because there are ways to bypass sanctions. It's true. Everyone sees how Russia tries to freeze Ukrainians. Now, our people, Ukrainians to death at minus 20 degrees Celsius. But Russia couldn't build any ballistic or cruise missiles without critical components from other countries, and it's not just China. Too often people hide behind the excuse that China helps Russia. Yes, it does. But not only China. Russia gets components from companies in Europe, the United States, and Taiwan. Right now, many are investing in stability around Taiwan to avoid war. But can Taiwanese companies stop contributing electronics to Russia's war? Europe says almost nothing. America says nothing. And Putin makes missiles. And I thank every country, of course, and every company that helps Ukraine repair its energy system. This is crucial. Thank you to all who support the Pearl program, helping us buy Patriot missiles. But wouldn't it be cheaper and easier to just cut Russia off from the components it needs for missiles production? Or even destroy the factories making them? Last year, most of the time was spent talking about long-range weapons for Ukraine. And everybody said that the solution was within range. Now, no one is even talking about it. But Russian missiles and Shaheeds are still here. And we still have the coordinates of the factories where they are made. Today, they target Ukraine. Tomorrow, it could be any NATO country. And here in Europe, we are advised not to mention tomahawks. Not to mention tomahawks to the Americans, not to spoil the mood. And we are told not to bring up Taurus missiles. When the subject is Turkey, diplomats say don't offend Greece. When it's Greece, they say be careful with Turkey. In Europe, there are endless internal arguments and things left unsaid that stop Europe from uniting and speaking honestly enough to find real solutions. And too often, Europeans turn against each other, leaders, parties, movements, and communities, instead of standing together to stop Russia, which brings the same destruction to everyone. Instead of becoming a truly global power, Europe remains a beautiful but fragmented kaleidoscope of small and middle powers. Instead of taking the lead in defending freedom worldwide, especially when America's focus shifts elsewhere, Europe looks lost trying to convince the US president to change. But he will not change. President Trump loves who he is, and he says he loves Europe but he will not listen to this kind of Europe. One of the biggest problems in today's Europe, though it's not often talked about, is the mindset. Some European leaders are from Europe, but not always for Europe. And Europe still feels more like a geography, history, a tradition, not a real political force, not a great power. Some Europeans are really strong, it's true. But many say we must stand strong, and they always want someone else to tell them how long they need to stand strong, preferably until the next election. But that's not how great power works, to my mind. Leaders say we must defend European interests, but they hope someone else will do it for them. And speaking of values, they often mean valueless. They are all like, we need something to replace the old world order with. But where is the line of leaders who are ready to act? Act now, on land, in the air, at the sea, to build a new global order. You can't build the new world order out of words. Only actions create real order. Today, America has launched the Board of Peace. Ukraine was invited, so was Russia, Belarus, though the war hasn't stopped. And there is not even a ceasefire. And I have seen who joined. Everyone had their reasons. But here is the thing. Europe hasn't even formed a united position on the American idea. Maybe tonight, when the European Council meets, they will decide something. But the documents were already signed this morning, and tonight they might also finally decide something on Greenland. But last night, Mark Rutte had spoken to President Trump. Thank you, Mark, for your productiveness. America is already changing its position, but nobody knows exactly how. So things move faster than we. Things move faster than Europe. And how can Europe keep up? Dear friends, we should not degrade ourselves to secondary roles, not when we have a chance to be a great power together. We should not accept that Europe is just a salad of small and middle powers seasoned with enemies of Europe. When united, we are truly invincible. And Europe can and must be a global force, not one that reacts late, but one that defines the future. That would help everyone from the Middle East to every other region in the world. That would help Europe itself, because the challenges we face now are challenges to the European way of life, where people matter, where nations matter. Europe can help build a better world. Europe must build a better world, and a world without war, of course. But for that, Europe needs strength. For that, we must act together and act in time. And most of all, we must have the courage to act. And we are actively working to reach solutions, real solutions. Today, we met with President Trump, and our teams are working almost every day. It's not simple. The documents aimed at ending this war are nearly ready, and that really matters. Ukraine is working with full honesty and determination, and that brings results. And Russia must become ready to finish this war, to stop this aggression, Russian war against us. So the pressure must be strong enough, and the support for Ukraine must grow even stronger. Our previous meetings with President of the United States brought us air defense missiles, and thanks Europeans, they helped also. And today we also spoke about the protecting the skies, which means protecting lives, of course. And I hope America will continue to stand with us. And Europe must be strong. and Ukraine is ready to help with anything needed to guarantee peace and prevent destruction. We are ready to help others become stronger than they are now. We are ready to be part of a Europe that truly matters, a Europe of real power, great power. Today we need that power to protect our own independence, but you need Ukraine's independence too, because tomorrow you may have to defend your way of life. And when Ukraine is with you, no one will wipe their feet on you, and you will always have a way to act, and act in time. This is very important. Act in time. Dear friends, today is one of the last days of Davos, though definitely not the last Davos, of course. And everyone agrees on that. Many people believe that somehow things will work out on their own. But we cannot rely on somehow. For real security, faith is not enough. Faith in a partner, in a lucky turn of events. No intellectual discussions are capable of stopping wars. We need action. World order comes from action, and we just need the courage to act. Without action now, there is no tomorrow. Let's end this Groundhog Day. And yes, it's possible. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
The President wanted me to sit, but I think you deserved every part of that standing ovation.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President. It is very good to have you back. How did your meeting with President Trump go?
Honestly.
Of course, honestly. But of course in the interest of your country.
Yes, it was in the interest of my country. Yeah, the meeting was, I think...
I would never question that.
No. The meeting was good, thanks to President, and thank you that he found time for us. And it's really, you know, today I saw like my team, and they spoke with American team. And before my meeting with President Trump, my team spent a lot of time with Americans. And even I wanted to ask President Trump to give them American passports, because I think that they, yes, really spend a lot of time. But be honest, I think that the meeting is very important. We need in our boat, I hope this is the boat, this is ship to peace, and we need very much to have the United States. For the future, for security guarantees, we understand that Europe has to be more stronger, but Europe will need time. And today America is very strong, and I think that our teams worked well and come, you know, like I think this is like last mile, which is very difficult, which during any dialogue with any president, I have to defend the interests of my country. That's why the dialogue is, maybe it's not simple, but today it was positive.
Okay.
That's enough.
I think that's a good answer.
Thank you.
We know that Jared Kushner and also Special Representative Steve Witkoff is traveling this afternoon to Moscow. I think that I think now it all is also about when Russia is ready to stop the war, and it's hard to really understand what is in the head of Mr. Putin too. But what do you think are the current calculations in Moscow?
First of all, yes, American team will go to Moscow today. Yes, they waited for our meeting with President Trump, and now they will go, and my team will meet American team, and I think that it will be the first trilateral meeting in Emirates. It will be tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Yes, it will be 2 days meetings in Emirates. I hope that Emirates know about it. Yes, sometimes we have such surprises from American side. Yeah, but in any way they will go there, and I think this is good. If on the technical level we'll begin this trilateral meeting, I hope that we will find some. I don't know. Russians have to be ready for compromises, because everybody has to be ready, not only Ukraine, and this is important for us. So we will see what the result will be, but that Russians will meet, that our guys meet today with Americans, then Americans will meet with Russians tomorrow. Today is at night. I don't know when. I don't know. Maybe Putin is sleeping. You said that nobody knows what is in his head. Yes, but
they might have to wait a little bit for the meeting.
I don't know. But tomorrow and the day after tomorrow we will have trilateral. Our guys will have trilateral meetings. It's better than not to have any kind of dialogue. So we are under attacks. People live without electricity, and we are in a difficult situation. But Russians also in a difficult situation. We are answering on their attacks, and God bless. The war will stop. I hope so.
And what is now the most difficult part for Ukraine? We know it's attack on your whole energy system and electricity, but then there are also the casualties on the borders. So the humanitarian situation is more challenging now than a year ago.
Yes, with Russia attacks energy, and they are focusing on it. And this is not a secret. This is not a mistake. This is their goal, to make blackouts in Ukraine. And they attack mostly civilians. They don't use a lot of missiles, these expensive missiles. What about I spoke before? They don't use it on the front. They use it against civilians, infrastructure, critical infrastructure. It's about everything, and hospitals, kindergartens, schools. But mostly it's about all about the technical things which which are focusing on destroying electricity, heating systems, water supplies, everything. Yes, this is where we are. This is the face of Russia, and really this is the face of this war. We have defending systems. We really created, I think, great ideas with drones, interceptors. We'll use them. We really produce them about 1,000 per day. We really produce about around that. But it's not enough. It's still not enough. Russia has about 500 drones, Iranian drones, each day, and dozens of missiles, ballistic missiles. And even those systems what partners gave us, it's again, and I hope it was the last words, my last words. Like in Ukraine said, everybody remember only the last words. So my last words been several times to President Trump: don't forget about air defense, don't forget about Patriots. And so this is very important for us. during this winter. So I think that this is all these attacks. I can't say that these attacks make us stronger, because it's about our people. The people, I mean, they are surviving. They are surviving in any case, but they are heroic people, civilians and soldiers, because they are not losers of this war, and this is important. They fight for their families, houses, and of course, for the freedom, and of course.
Wow. Would you be willing to say something on about the situation on the borders?
You mean contact line?
Yeah, contact lines.
It's Russia wants to have a border there, but it's contact lines.
I'm glad you corrected me, Mr. President.
No, it's okay. It's not the first time for me.
It is not okay, but you know, coming back to the borderline. So, would you like to say something about that?
Yes. Look, I mean this again, it's about technologies, and I wanted to show you, but I had some technical questions, but I wanted to show you how we work. We see online the war, we see the real enemies, we see our losses and Russian losses. Russian losses are the biggest what they had ever. So I'm just sharing with you, the real statistic is 35,000 killed per month. 35,000 soldiers. Last year, these months, it was about 14,000. So Russia is not thinking about it, but we think about it. We think how they lose and how many soldiers they lose. We know that they mobilize 43,000 per month, and they begin to lose 35. From these 43, you have to know that about 10–15% are run away, and there are some wounded, but you can understand that their army stopped increasing. This is important because of our drones technologies and our operators of drones. But in any way, we want to stop tomorrow this war, of course. But you have to know that if the war will continue, Russia will start to lose the number of their army, or Putin will decide to mobilize this country, his country, I mean.
Maybe last question, because I know you also need to go back to Kiev.
It was not interesting with me, yes.
Your people is behind you and showing my watch all the time. I would love to continue for another 15 minutes, Mr. President. So,
but not more.
15 is okay?
No.
No.
Okay.
So
the last question. Yeah.
So my last question, Mr. President. How can the people here at the World Economic Forum and in Davos support the most? I think you heard the applause. I think everyone wants to also show solidarity with you and the country.
To defend our land, this is a very expensive task. So if during Economic Forum we can find as more businesses as possible which can open offices in Ukraine, it means that you really trust and you believe that peace will come, and that you really, yes, a little bit risk now, a little bit. We decided at the beginning, be honest today, a little bit, but we need your offices and companies. It means that you believe and you trust in Ukraine, in our independent life after the war. This is the biggest chance what you can do, to invest now, to give jobs for our people. And I think this is the most important. This is real support, not words, real support. Jobs, money, investment, come often to Ukraine.
Thank you.
Thank you.